These have been talked about quite a few times by my viewers, and I was really quite excited to try them out. And well, if you turn off adaptive EQ, they're actually pretty darn good. Hey guys, we have the Soundpeats H1 Premium with us today, and if you like bassy earbuds, you'll definitely want to check these out. Before we get into the review, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on upcoming videos. Okay, so let's talk design. The case is entirely made of plastic, and it's, well, not very pleasant to the touch. Even opening the lid doesn't feel that great. There's a small creak whenever you open the lid and it kind of goes past a certain point. Just take a listen. And it kind of bothers me a bit, but for the price, I guess I can't really be too picky. There's a USB-C port on the rear, along with a light for charging status, which is nice, but what's really nice is that there's wireless charging in these. Inside, you get the earbuds, along with a 4-bar LED indicator on the inside of the case. This actually blinks when you're charging the case with the lid open, which is a nice touch. The 4 bars indicate battery levels for the case, and yeah, pretty simple all around. The earbuds are pretty big though, which means that if your ears are on the smaller side, you could experience some wearing fatigue. That being said, the bulk does result in pretty good passive noise isolation, which is definitely needed because there's no ANC in these. In the box, you also get a pair of Comply foam tips, which is even better because they help with noise isolation and comfort. The earbuds themselves though don't sit securely in my ear at all. Adjusting my spectacles, eating with them in and all will just end up with the earbuds wriggling loose over time. The bulk can be attributed to the fact that these are a hybrid dual driver pair of earbuds, which means you get a dynamic driver that handles the lows and a balanced armature driver that handles the mids and highs. We'll talk more about sound quality later, but that dynamic driver definitely packs a punch. Moving on, there's a companion app for the Soundpeats H1, and it's just okay. You get individual battery levels for the earbuds, an easy reset button on the main page, as well as a control panel at the bottom left. You can adjust the volume from here, adjust a 7-bar custom EQ, as well as 2 options that seem to do nothing. There's a noise reduction section here, which doesn't make sense because the earbuds don't even have ANC. The light effect switch doesn't seem to do anything either, since whenever I turn it off, then exit and re-enter the screen, it's turned on again. As for touch controls, a tap on the left earbud lowers the volume while a tap on the right raises it. A double tap on the left controls play-pause, while a triple tap toggles game mode, which is supposed to have reduced latency. A double tap on the right is also play-pause, while a triple tap pulls up the voice assistant. The touch controls are finicky and they're not as responsive as I would like. You do have to tap a very specific area or it just doesn't register. Additionally, for the earbuds, you have a few EQ presets, but there doesn't seem to be a normal preset that's not equalized, unless that's what classical is. Anyway, something that's a bit more interesting is the adaptive EQ feature. You do a listening test and the app auto-calibrates the EQ for you. But my EQ was a bit weird. Great in the fact that it bumped up the treble, but there was a pretty big dip in the 8 kHz range. I'll talk about this a bit more in the sound quality segment, but I did notice a pretty big problem with the earbuds here. Moving on, these run on Bluetooth 5.2, which is great, and I never had any major connectivity issues with these. There's also SBC, AAC, and aptX adaptive, which is great for Android users. Soundpeats claims 10 hours in the earbuds with an extra 3 charges in the case for a total of around 40 hours. And I would take their 10 hours with a tiny pinch of salt because I did get around 8-ish hours broken up over the course of a day. So yeah, it's still pretty good. There's an IPX5 water resistance rating, although because these already slip out of my ears when I'm using them normally, I can't imagine how it would be like if I throw sweat and exercise into the mix. The microphones on these are pretty meh in my opinion. They're supposed to be CVC 8.0 noise reduction, and it might sound better in a quiet environment like this, but yeah, I would say it's maybe slightly below average. We now come to sound quality, and that's actually where the problem lies for me. These are hella bassy, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. Personally, I find that it overwhelms the mids and the highs to a certain extent, but if you're someone who really loves bass, then it's a good thing for you. My major issue here is actually that this particular unit, I'm not sure if all the units have this issue or not, but I'm willing to believe that it's just mine. It sort of introduces white noise, a sort of artifacting sort of noise into the upper mids. Listening to Billie Eilish's Bad Guy in particular exposes this problem. It affects the vocals quite clearly in that song, and it's pretty much unlistenable for me. This problem doesn't affect the vocals of singers that are higher or lower, like Shawn Mendes or Ariana Grande or like other people that I listen to, but it does affect the instruments or the percussion in their songs. I'm not sure if it's a result of the adaptive EQ, but turning that feature off did help to reduce the amount of white noise, so yeah. Moving on though, the mid-range is relatively well balanced and you do get a good amount of clarity thanks to that BA driver. The treble is also decent, although it's a bit darker and not quite as sparkly as I would normally like. The soundstage is also slightly above average, especially once I turned off the adaptive EQ. Thinking about it, it seems like the adaptive EQ was more trouble than help in my case, so yeah. For $120 it's okay. But the thing is, you usually find, these sort of products at a discount. Right now, these are actually just going at $80 US, which I would say is a much better value. I'd be a bit hard pressed to recommend it at $120, but at 80, these are actually a pretty decent option for birthday gifts and the likes. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the Soundpeats H1 Premium. If you guys have any comments or questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to subscribe to us and like this video. See you next one. See you guys!